And I'm Michael Kern from the Ottawa Business Journal. Thank you for joining us here today. I'm so glad to have you with us. Our webinar here today is called Cliché is Shitté, Escape the Fate of Unmemorable Marketing. As I was mentioning when I was on mute, we've covered a lot of different topics in these live broadcasts. You can tell it's live because of that glitch. We've talked about corporate law, commercial law, a lot of things that are really important to your business. But today is a first-time topic that I think is absolutely fundamental to your business success. Of course, we're talking about marketing, or more specifically, how to avoid unmemorable marketing. This broadcast will cover things like what makes you different, the truth about what you do and what your audience wants. We'll talk about carving out a unique brand position in an apples to apples industries. Talk about creative work that is differentiating, noticeable, and cost efficient, and also where AI tools can create value. As you saw on screen a minute ago, we have two great guests. Hopefully they're not muted. Our first guest has spent almost a quarter century as the founder and CEO of one of Ottawa's most enduring marketing firms, working with a remarkably diverse range of businesses on branding, graphic design, desktop publishing, social media. He's done it all. Our second guest has climbed the ladder of top advertising agencies in Brisbane, Australia, London, England, and now Ottawa, with some client-side and consulting roles in between. From Xactly Advertising, please welcome Dennis Sabaray and Blair Burchill. Are you guys unmuted?
I am. Thank you, Michael. How about yourself, Blair?
Yes, I think I am as well.
Okay, we've done this about 100 times, and that's the first time it's happened. So, okay, I'm allowed one of those, and I should have been glancing at the screen. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into this. Dennis, as I mentioned, my goodness, Dennis, you've been working with in the Ottawa advertising agency scene for a quarter century. Tell us a little bit about Xactly Advertising and how it's involved, Dennis.
Yeah, I mean, so we're going on our 24th year coming up. Yeah. So it's been that ages me pretty quickly, but yeah, it's been quite the ride in the Ottawa scene. We've grown kind of through North America, but very loyal to Ottawa still, and have a lot of great clients here in Ottawa. We originally started as a design studio for the first 5 years, and then realized the demand was needed with our clients across the board. So we became a full service agency that mostly focuses on creative first. So what does that mean if you're not in the kind of industry? We're doing big ideas, advertising campaigns, brand positioning, rebranding. Those kind of projects are definitely our niche. And then from there, we help clients market their business. We're very much focused in the private sector. So we do a lot of B2B and B2C with a few associations in government, but definitely mostly focused. And the reason for that is a couple decades ago, I saw a bit of a hole in the industry here in Ottawa. There was a lot of agencies doing great work within the public sector, but just not a lot doing great work in the private sector. So,
yeah. Looking, from the outside in, Dennis, I really got to concur. I mean, you really have established yourself as I'll use the word, I don't know if you like it, but SME type marketing firm, right? And to me, that's been very real world, if I can put it that way. Those clients, as you know better than I, Dennis, are looking for results. And so you must have seen a remarkable transition over those years, Dennis.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting about the space we're in is we often see what's happening in the business world kind of, before everybody else does, right? Because we go in cycles, right, with the type of industry we work with in the private sector and the verticals. So we can see, and generally, most people that want to kind of reposition themselves or go after the market are generally either they're doing really well and want to really push it, or they're feeling a bit of the struggle, which I do suggest it's not to come at that point, and hopefully today you'll learn that advertising and a good brand is just being consistent throughout the days and the months and the years, and not just when you want to do really well or when you're struggling.
I concur. Blair, let's bring you into this. You're going to be doing most of the presentation, by the way, Blair, but we've got some great content to share. It really, I think, talks about some of the fundamentals of what people need to be thinking about. Blair, what is a couple things, just before you launch into this, what are a couple things you want people to potentially take away or listen for in this?
Well, I guess the main thing is to take a wider view of what your marketing is. I have a sense that it's often delegated to a more junior person or somebody with a bit of spare time.
Yeah.
And it is a serious profession. I'll have, people do study this and people do sit at board level in marketing. And, if you've done your Harvard Business Review reading, you'll find that it's one of the fundamentals of your business, along with inbound logistics, processing, operations, outbound logistics. Marketing sits there, and then customer support, and then your other, finance, legal, HR are all other functions. But in a business, marketing is very important. And I think if you pay due attention to that, you'll do better than if you don't.
Yeah, I think it is underappreciated these days. And I think this is the crux of some of the presentation, that we've arrived with this remarkable new technology, AI, where a lot of people think that I can, through a few prompts, have a marketing plan, and maybe we'll get them to think twice about that. All right, Dennis, listen, we're going to send you backstage, and you'll be muted now. And Blair, we're going to have you kick off the presentation. Here is Cliché is shitté, and we'll get those slides on screen.
Okay, great. Now, I did have some handy little animations of these slides that don't appear to be working, but I'll click through. I'll just challenge you not to read ahead too much, please.
Yeah.
Because there was some logic to them, but I'll get straight into it. So I think the first thing to remember, and today I'm going to talk a bit about advertising. Now, advertising is part of the promotions part of the 4 Ps of marketing. So of a broad marketing sense, only one part of marketing is promotion, and of promotion, only one part is advertising. In there also is publicity and other activities and promotions and so forth. But in terms of advertising, because we all get this, and when we're running Facebook ads or when we're running TV ads, it's advertising. The thing to remember is that human beings are emotional decision makers. We often decide what brand to engage with, what product to buy emotionally. And then often we'll back rationalize, well, you know what? I really need the sunroof and the leather seats. That'll be a better car than the car without sunroof and leather seats. Now, that's purely emotional. The rational thing is, well, the car will get me from A to B. That's all I need. Emotions step in and we move up in price. So because we're emotional decision makers, we remember emotionally engaging advertising executions. And I've put up some great ads from the past here that you may recognize. The top left, colorful one, is for Apple when they launched the iPod years ago. You may remember Budweiser, What's Up. The bottom right corner is Kmart, I've shipped my pants, when they first started doing online deliveries. Now, Kmart is the most sensible family brand you can imagine, but if they can have fun by talking about how everyone ships their pants, well, then engaging is important. Old Spice, great campaign, you may remember. The top right corner, I included an ad because there might be some government clients here or associations who will say things like, we don't do clever stuff. That's not, we don't want to do that. We just want a message. Now, the top right corner is an ad campaign for public transit, for taking the bus. It's from Denmark. And it's fantastic. It engages, it makes you smile, and it makes you want to use the product. Now, this presentation, I believe, will be available afterwards, and I've hyperlinked all of them so you can have a look, and I encourage you to do so. The key is cleverness, engaging, memorability stands out, and it's a multiplier to your ad campaign working better than if it doesn't. You might hear an advertising adage, well, you've got to see something 3.2 times or 6.4 times to remember it. I'll challenge that and say you can see a good ad once and you will remember it for decades, and you can see a rubbish ad 100 times come through your meta feed, you'll swipe past it and forget it a nanosecond later. You can see it 100 times and you'll forget it 100 times. Memorability comes from cleverness. So how do we engage better advertising? There are a couple of key things. This chart comes from a UK-based global research consultancy. It does most of its work studying UK and US advertising campaigns. Now, they measured what makes an ad campaign effective, and in this case, they were looking at profitability or the return on investment. Down at the bottom, you'll see that bland, unemotional campaigns really struggle to ever make any impact. In 6 months, 1.5 years, 3 years, you can keep repeating that ad and get very little outcome. As soon as you add some emotional engagement to it, performance spikes markedly. And then you layer on top of that an emotionally engaging, clever ad, and then you get some brand consistency and strong brand linkage in there, i.e. does the customer know it's you who's advertising at them? If you get that right, you can massively multiply the performance of your advertising over time. And one thing, time matters, time matters to get better understanding. You have to understand that most people aren't sitting there waiting for your ad. It might be, legal services or HVAC services or, a beverage. They're not sitting there waiting for your ad. So you need to be there in front of them longer and you will do better. So which emotions should you make a play for? So advertising 101, you'll hear this, humor sells and sex sells. So you have to decide if your brand is open to being, sold via humor or sex, but these emotions work. And the truth is that any emotion works. Sadness, fear, anger. You'll see a lot of government campaigns in the past, public health, times have changed a bit. When AIDS advertising started, AIDS awareness, there was a lot of fear-based advertising. More recently in a pandemic we've had, we're all in this together with COVID-19, COVID-19. It was all about we're all this together and warm hugs because, there's a general understanding now that fear-based advertising doesn't work. But there's a time and place, and you're not going to use humor-based ads or sex-based ads to sell funeral services, for example. Suffice to say, if the consumer feels nothing about your ad, they're going to do nothing. And a word of warning, a crap ad delivered at the speed of light in Meta, in Google, is still a crap ad. It doesn't improve it at all. So look for an emotional play in your advertising and you will do better. Now, not only in your advertising, in your own content as well. Your website, your apparel, the stuff your workers show up to in a job site, the sides of your vans, all of these places are opportunities to have some kind of emotional benefit in your communications campaign, advertising, owned content, and so forth. So brand linkage, if you remember the chart from a couple of slides ago, brand linkage is really, really important. So you can have an emotionally engaging ad, get people to smile, get them to cry, get them to laugh. But if they don't know it's you, it's not a great ad. So what do we know about brand linkage? Obviously, you will understand what your logo is, your brand ID. Get your logo in every ad. Okay, that's simple. But if that's all you're doing, it's probably not enough. There are some other great brand elements that you can include in your campaigns. Taglines are great. And then with that, you get copy style, your headline. Do you have clever, engaging headlines? Do you say headlines in a certain way? People will start to understand that. Then there's the creative style, the overall look and feel, imagery, art direction, typography, that sort of thing. If you're running video or radio, let's say TV or radio or video ads, you can think about your voiceover. Is it a consistent voiceover? Does the voiceover has a personality about them? Look at sound stings, backing music, jingles, anything that you can add consistency. And then overall, the overall campaign positioning is important. Now, with these brand linkage cues, any advertising strategist theorists will say it's good to have at least 5 brand cues consistently over time. and your advertising will do better. So have a jingle, have a sound sting, have your, McDonald's, da, 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 da. I'm loving it. I mean, they've been running that for decades now. It's fantastic. Try and get more brand consistency in there and try and do it well. I listen to car dealer commercials in their city, and they've all got some kind of rocky jingle. It does sound like most of them got produced at the same studio somewhere, possibly with the same singing artist. So, differentiation is important. I'll talk about that in a little. And then we get into this repetition, do it again and again. Now, again, apologies that you get to see all this at once, but down the bottom here is some outdoor advertising from a magazine called The Economist. You may be aware of it. Back when I was at business school, everyone read The Economist. If you're on your way somewhere in finance, law, commerce, probably entrepreneurship, you're probably reading The Economist. On the left is a billboard ad from 1984. And it reads, I never read The Economist. And the small caption is management trainee, age 42. And that's a bit of a poke. If you're not reading The Economist, you're not going anywhere. That's from 1984. The one on the right, which is about AI, make AI afraid that you're going to take its job, that's from 2025. So that's decades and decades and decades. They have been in this market with this distinct red background, with this distinct font, with these distinctly engaging headlines. And part of their strategy includes media. They buy large format outdoor where their target audience congregates. So in the City of London, if you're aware of London, that's what London calls Wall Street. The City of London is where business and commerce congregates. They'll buy those billboard sites in Toronto, they'll buy them in Montreal, they'll buy them in Sydney and Berlin and everywhere else. So the media strategy is a bit differentiating as well. But they've had a consistently robust, engaging, clever, art-directed, typographically consistent campaign for decades, and that is a good thing. So what are you telling them? What's the emotional play you're making? Are you more reliable? Are you more effective? Are you tastier? Are you faster? Are you prettier? Are you the largest? The little warning box is there. It says these are all great, but they're all highly rational and they're all highly copyable by your competition. So if you say we're the largest HVAC repair service in Ottawa, we've got the most cars on the road, the most service vehicles, it's pretty easy for someone else to buy one more van than you and say, no, yeah, we're the largest. And then someone else is the largest. All of these rational messages are copyable, so it's well worth staying away from them. So you want to understand what influences your target audience. What makes them think? Do they want the largest HVAC company in Ottawa? Or do they want peace of mind that they're not going to get their backside kicked when they get it wrong? Do they want certainty? Do they want to feel good about the decisions they're making? That's a more emotional play that you can own. What is the competition doing? That's important. When they zig, you zag, of course. If the competition are all talking about this, well, don't talk about this. If the market leader is talking about this, don't try and talk about it because they own that position. If they're doing it well, consistency, brand linkage, brand cues, it's going to be hard to wrestle them out of the position, so find something else to say. Find a gap in the consumer's mindset. That's where you really want to be. In most modern markets, there is no gap in product performance. There is no unique selling proposition. People still talk about that. I get people come and say, find our unique selling proposition. Well, you probably don't have one because someone else has got as many vans, someone else's burgers are just as tasty, someone's running shoes are just as fast. So you want to find somewhere else in the consumer's mindset you want to be, and that's more about a single-minded proposition. Find what you want to say and keep saying it. I've got some brands here that do it really well. McDonald's has been loving it for decades. They don't really talk that much about how great their burgers are. They do a bit, but everyone else's burgers, fast food burgers, are all the same. They talk about loving it. And if you're loving it when you're a young guy who's got a hangover on Saturday mornings, you're loving it. And if you're me, perhaps, and now these days I'm a father with 3 kids, I'm loving it that I can stop in there with my daughters and we have a fun, quick, easy meal. I'm loving it. It's universal and no one else can talk about it because they own it. Nike makes running gear for weekend running dads like myself and NCAA athletes and NFL footballers. It makes stuff for golfers. It makes stuff for yoga. So they're not trying to explain all that. They're just trying to say, just do it. Just get out there and do it. If it's a weekend, Saturday morning 4K jog, just do it. If you're going for Olympic gold, just do it. Great position. Can't be challenged, decades old. Intel, B2B brand, microchips, boring as, but they managed to make microchips important and make them a desirable feature of any laptop. You look at the laptop and it's Intel inside, that must be a good laptop. Great B2B positioning. And then, locally, I've been here in Ottawa now for 9 years, and I've been looking at Tamarack buses, bus advertising, King Bus Size, etc., with Upgrade Your Life. Now, brand consistency that they're doing is very good. I don't know their full marketing department. I don't know the suite of their materials. I don't know what they do, in their sales centers. I don't know what they do, with their sales kits and all sorts of things. But at a glance, they've got some good brand consistency going, and that's a good thing. See how I'm going on time, getting there. Performance marketing. Now, this is something that's comes up all the time. I'll just let you, I think I'll let you read the 2 cartoons first, and then I'll talk about it. I'll give you a second. Okay, so performance marketing is the promised nirvana land of endless optimization and improvement, and it's become a digital advertising thing for the last couple of years. And people advertise for performance marketing experts. And I always laugh because I think, as far as I know, marketing has always been about performance. Nobody hires a marketing department to underperform. Anyway, it's been hijacked by digital marketing. Digital marketing will always attribute the click to themselves. When you click at the end, Meta's going to say, yep, that was me. Or a digital marketing agency will say, yep, that was me. Now, the truth is, human beings are a lot more complex and make longer term decisions that are more emotionally based over the long term than that last click. And you just need to understand that. Do I think cost per click, CPM, ROAS, ROI are important? Yeah, they really, really are. Absolutely are. I don't deny that, but they have a place, and I guarantee that better creative will get a better CPC. It'll get a better ROAS. It'll get better. Word of warning, bots, click farms, fake data. I'll let you Google that on your own to understand the potential scale of the problem, but it's there. Is Zuckerberg going to tell you that 30 or 40% of Facebook users aren't real? No, he's not. So I'll leave you do some research. Performance marketing is important, but it is improved by the fundamentals. Another topic we had on for today was AI. Now, AI, is it good? Yes, it's brilliant. I have to say I use AI every day to improve my performance of what I do. What used to take me a week can now take me, 35 seconds. If I go into a market where I don't understand the dynamics of a market, I can very quickly find out. We picked up a client last week, a very large commercial property firm. I won't say that name yet because the campaign hasn't released. But to get to understand the dynamics of the auto commercial market, I could achieve that pretty quickly. Whereas it once would have taken me a week with a lot of Googling and searching and probably asking an account executive to do some as well. So it's fantastic for that, understanding market dynamics, competitive forces, media opportunities. If I said, well, look, I want to target students in Kingston, what media channels are available, it'll tell me where the billboard sites are and what student newspaper I should be in, etc. So very, very valuable. However, does it do anything remotely creative? Well, no, not yet. If I ask it to do a consumer insight or a single-minded proposition, it's always very clunky because it's just scraping the internet from what has been done before, and it'll give you what's been done before. It's probably similar, if you're back to my HVAC firm analogy, if you're designing HVAC systems for a condo tower, Would you ask AI to do it and take the output and give it straight to your client? No, you'll do the fundamentals and put some human intelligence over it, get it right, make sure it's watertight, and then pass it on. It will done some time saving between. So AI is a valuable tool. Would you get it to represent your brand with stock imagery or AI generated imagery? Would that really bring out the personality of your product, its value proposition? Would it bring about, bringing to life your firm and the uniqueness of what makes your firm different to that firm? I'd imagine it wouldn't, because it hasn't seen it before. It's just going to scrape someone else's campaign. This cartoon sums it up as best as I can imagine. Every decade, and I've been around for most of these decades, unfortunately or fortunately so, I have seen all of this, and all of these tools are great, and they've all been the biggest moment of their era and get on board or get left behind. And AI is the latest of those moments where we're all being asked to pay attention to, and it's important, so let's pay attention to it, but find where it fits. I would just advise it's not going to do something uniquely engaging for your business in terms of advertising. So I think I'm running short on time. I guess my pitch is this: find the right strategy for your business. Really think about a unique brand position, what you stand for. Look for your brand truth. You can't sell a lie. I think McCann Erickson Advertising in New York in 1908 coined the term "the truth told well," and that's what the sort of advertising is. Find the truth and tell it well. You'll have a truth, an emotional play. Tell it well, tell it creatively, good brand linkage, and you'll do better. Do creative that cuts through. Don't rely on doing 6 different executions and A, B, C, D, E, F, testing them to see what sticks. Just do one good execution. If you go back to the first chart, and I had some of those great ad campaigns, if they had said, let's make 6 TV commercials and see which one sticks, well, it would have been an expensive folly. It's better just to do one good thing. I mean, you don't design and build 6 good towers and then see which one people want to move into. You just build one good one. So creative that cuts through. Look at all the content that you're creating, get it delivered in the right channels. Think about paid, owned, and earned. So your paid channels are, of course, you'll want to understand digital channels, Google, Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, the Weather Channel, et cetera. Absolutely, the traditional media channels still have a powerful impact. Large format outdoor, buses, bus shelters, TV, radio have a very important role. It's interesting, I read today that, remember Kanye West, Ye as he's called, had a big falling out with his major brands that sponsored him, Adidas and a few others, in 2023-ish, because he made some anti-Semitic remarks, and a lot of these big brands pulled away from him, and he's been sort of off the market for a while. Yesterday he came back with a full-page ad in the Wall Street Journal to apologize and say, I'm sorry, mea culpa, here I am, I'm back, and contrite. Now, he didn't do it in Facebook. He the media is the message, right? When you make a statement in the Wall Street Journal, you're making a big statement. If you make a statement in the Alma Bulletin, where I live over there in Gatineau, that's not a big statement. The media is the message. So across the road from me is a nail buffing place, a hair salon. Now, they can all do a Facebook ad tomorrow, but none of them can do a large format outdoor, campaign across Ottawa. It's too expensive. Big advertisers do that. Traditional media and large format still works. Also think about your other owned media, the sides of your vans, your apparel, your website, your brochures, your trade show booth, all of these activities, and earned media, of course, which is publicity, public relations. That all comes into part of the marketing mix of that, the 4 Ps. Build strong brand assets, as I discussed. Do it consistently over time. Get some good jingles, get some taglines, get some brand colors, get good typography, get good photography. Don't use stock shots. Don't use AI generated images that clearly look like AI generated images, and do it consistently over time. And if you get this part of the marketing mix, the promotional advertising bit right, and you focus on your wider distribution channels, pricing, obviously the first P of marketing is product. Have a really good product, because you can't sell a lousy product. We can't sell a lousy product. Get all of that right, and you'll be on the path to success. So just to wrap up, don't be boring, don't be dull, don't be forgettable. Do something good, do it consistently, and you'll win. And I think that's my half hour.
Yeah, that's great.
Words
to live by, Blair. Yeah. Don't be boring.
That's it.
Fact, we're going to bring Dennis back on screen. Dennis, wow, there was so many takeaways there. One of the fundamental ones that you started with, Blair, but Dennis, I wanted your take on this, is just that point that marketing needs to be emotional. And I think that, for me, I always approach marketing from a journalistic type way. So that's like facts. And then you probably deal with a lot of CFOs, you guys, and they're very resistant to go with emotions. But Dennis, you found that to be true, that, there needs to be an emotional appeal to marketing for it to be effective.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, doing this for a long time, smaller companies, small businesses often think, well, that's just a game for the big players, right? Just the big brands. And for decades now, we've been telling clients, no matter how small you are, you really need to, as Blair said, find that brand truth and make sure that message goes out and be creative about it. Now, what creative means is a very long, answer to, but stand out from the rest, right? Don't, we often get, hey, look at what my competitor's doing, I want to do the same. Right, it's a reaction, right? Well, your competitor's doing something right because you've noticed them, but you don't want to do the same. Because all you're going to do is push their brand in some way, right? So,
yeah, it's there's a lot of art and there's a lot of science, and I think that's one of the other things, Blair, when I think about your presentation. Listen, guys, I'll jump to our Q&A session. We get a few people chiming in here. Here's Kevin. Nice to see you, Kevin. Know him through TEDx in Ottawa. Maybe something that people are wondering, and effectively the question, as you might see here, is, given what you've shared, what would you say the biggest differentiator is between B2B and B2C? One of you gentlemen want to tackle that?
Oh, well, I can start. The less and less.
Okay.
It's always been understood, well, that's for B2C, that's for consumer brands because they want excitement, engagement, and so forth. But B2B is different. We just need to tell the facts, and we don't need to be clever. I mean, I think the truth is, you, Michael, you're a B2B buyer in some instances, and then in other instances you're buying a burger or a vacation. So, but you're the same person, and you're the same person who's open to some sort of engagement, some kind of feel good, some kind of emotion pull. I mean, that Intel Inside campaign is brilliant. It's a good example. So now the purchasing cycle might be longer for B2B, but the buyers, the target audience, the human beings, 2 arms, 2 legs, head, nose, breathes, laughs, all of that, treat them that way. And keep in mind, for a lot of B2B products, most of your audience is not in the market most of the time. They'll be in the market, 5% of your audience in the market at any point. You've just signed a new contract for HVAC. You won't be coming back on the market for 2 years. So if you're going to be advertising to them, make it fun, engaging, and memorable. So when 2 years, when they're back, they're going to remember. And,
cool.
So very small gap.
And Dennis, is part of that message that there was a time where B2B needed to be hyper traditional and that type of stuff, and things are opening up so that B2B companies can be a lot more creative and play to emotions, humor, sex, whatever is the right strategy, Dennis.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been trying to educate, companies and people for years now that just because you're a B2B doesn't mean you should be boring.
Yeah.
Right. And I won't pick on too many sectors, but there's a lot of sectors that kind of just, we're in high tech, so we're just, here's the standard images. We've all seen the standard images in decks and ads, the stock images of people sitting in a boardroom, and the big earth with the space and connection, and our question is always why, right? Because again, as Blair mentioned, you're not really selling to a client or to a business. You're selling to a person. It's often a CFO, CEO, CMO making these decisions, right? And they're emotional. They want to be engaged. They want to find a company interesting. So absolutely, every case study that we have from the past, or when someone comes new, whether they're B2B or B2C, we're essentially treating them like every B2C client we had 2 decades ago, right? Take a step back. What do you stand for? And let's make sure we get that message out creatively.
Good. Well said. Another familiar face here on screen, Andrea Tompkins. Andrea was the longtime editor of Kitchissippi Times, right down in your neighborhood, gentlemen, in Westboro. And we knew AI would play a role in some of these questions. So Andrea's cutting to the chase here, is saying, before I ask the question, Blair, I just want to emphasize what you said, right? AI is a useful tool, particularly maybe in research or ideation. But Dennis, do you want to tackle this one? If someone was going to look at some tools in AI related to marketing, what would your 2 cents be?
I would, so I'm going to give you the high level answer, and I'll push one over to Blair for specifics, as him and his team are using more specific ones. But I would just say to anyone using AI and depending on AI, a lot, just be very careful. It's actually, there's a lot of data now coming out that it's actually really hurting brands, and I mean, even if you're not using AI much, but just look online of people's comments when they see an AI video or an AI image, and you get comments that are like, oh, not another AI video, and these companies that are trying the AI, we're going to do full commercials in AI now. They're getting a lot of backlash on it, right? So we're very human, and I think we want to stay human, and people can tell the difference. And I'm not to say that it's not going to continue to improve, and we'll have to look at it differently. But right now, it's definitely, in our opinion, just a tool, and definitely don't depend on it to take care of all your marketing, or you might find yourself in a pretty little pickle in months and a year from now. Blair, to the specific tool.
Yeah, well, I'm
caution. Yeah, go ahead, Blair.
Yeah, similarly. So I'm pretty broad as well. As I mentioned, it's a valuable research tool. I use Copilot all the time. We use Gemini all the time because we have the Google Suite, and I use Perplexity a bit. So I'll just get a breadth of responses. There are plenty of software design creative tools, video tools, graphic design tools. Our studio doesn't use it because nobody wants AI generated fake images of their business representing themselves. I understand that some small businesses will see that shortcut and think it's valuable, but just weigh up if you want to be, it's not dissimilar to stock images. If you think stock images represent your family business, all power to you. And now if you think AI generated stock images represent your brand and family and business, all power to you. I would just be cautious. So very, very good for broad research tools. And I find, because I pay for the subscribe pro level versions, it's generative and is learning my tone of voice and is learning what I'm interested in. And often when I'll give it a prompt and I get a question, it'll just link back to something I was doing a month ago. Do you want me to link it to that and give you? And I say, yes, go ahead. So that is very useful. Creatively, I can't speak to too much about what I would recommend.
Yeah, I think, part of what both of you are saying is we're all developing an AI radar, or an ability to spot it really quickly. And fundamentally, part of the problem, I'm frozen there for a second. I'll come back. There we go. What I was saying is, I think all of us are developing a bit of an AI radar. And the problem with that is it communicates an inauthenticity. And that's, that's not what any of us want for our brands. We're a little into overtime, but I want to sneak in a couple more questions. And here's one, that you guys will always get. And it is fundamentally the question of limited budget. And maybe Dennis will go to you. So I'm sure there are people saying, I can't afford, full page in the Wall Street Journal or large format. You suggested that, Blair. But Dennis, what would you say to people with a limited budget?
Yeah, I mean, no matter what size of agency and clients we have here, we're dealing with budgets all the time, right? And Blair and I like to tell people, even the biggest clients we work with have budgets, right? And so, and being a small business owner myself and working with many over the years, right? I would say this. Start with somebody experienced that understands marketing. Don't go to someone specific that does, specific vertical, because they're going to sell you on, here's your best bet. Just do, I don't want to pick on any vertical, but just do SEO. You'll be fine. Just do paid ads.
Yeah.
Just do some design. Try to find yourself. And my suggestion would be, if it's not going to be an agency, a generalist that understands, marketing and branding as a whole. And then, talk about your budget. Like any marketing campaign, there's no quick solution, even if you have a big budget. So it's about, I will give this suggestion: whatever your budget is, do your best to stretch it out instead of putting all your eggs in one basket. Try to look at it over a span of a year. So I only have so much. Okay. Your best to be in market a little bit all the time.
Yeah.
And try to make a big splash and then kind of disappearing on people. Now listen, this is not something we do, but the small business owner in me is going to say this. The number one thing I'm going to tell you, even before any branding and marketing, advertising, is going to be networking, business networking. Get out there. If you're a very small business, you're just starting, get out there, do events, do the OBJ events and all the other great events we have in this city, and start connecting yourself, right? That's how I built Xactly in the first 5 years. If there was an event, I was there, and I met some fantastic people that way, and get yourself in those circles. Of course, after that, when you do have a budget, I would focus on your own assets first, right? Make sure your brand, is strong. So things like, your corporate identity and your website, use social, even if it's not a lot. You can post yourself, make sure you're consistently posting. There's a lot of things now with the tools that you can, but be consistent, right? So whether you have only 10,000 for the year, or 100 or 1 million, we're always like, how do you spread this out to make sure you're in the market? And you do have to take some risk, so don't be afraid. You do have to invest in your company. And I do see, unfortunately, some companies cut a lot of corners when it comes to branding and marketing earlier on, and then find they have a harder struggle later to establish their brand. So if you want to be taken seriously, have a good brand, have a professional behind you helping you, and get to market.
It's a really good point. We'll wrap up here in a second and let share your contact information. But it's almost when I have the same discussions with employment lawyers or corporate lawyers, they say, business needs to start with a proper partnership, right, Dennis? It needs proper employment agreements. It needs a proper brand, so on and so forth. Like, there are some fundamentals you need to lay really early on. And if you don't do that, like some of the legal stuff, but also marketing, it's going to cause issues down the road.
For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. Listen, we're going to bring up, as promised, your contact information. There you go. You guys, by the way, I just have to say, that's not, speaking of inauthenticity, those are not virtual backgrounds. That's your beautiful office that both of you are sitting in, located in Westboro. So maybe some people can go visit you there on Richmond Road. Dennis, if people want to contact you, any preference?
Yep. My email's right there, but they can look me up on LinkedIn also, or just go to our website and contact us through there.
Okay. Well, listen, we're going to wrap up. Blair, great job. We had a lot packed into that short time period.
Mhm.
And Dennis, please continue your great work supporting local businesses and just helping to do some remarkable and marketing that is not shitté and not cliche.
Never shitté.
Yeah.
Never
Thank you for having
shitté.
us, Michael.
There you go. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks very much. It was a pleasure.
When I came back on screen, I was going to mute myself intentionally to use that humor thing and elicit some emotions, but I thought, okay, that might be pushing the emotions a little bit too
It's a
much.
good thing the topic wasn't on IT.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it.
indeed.
Well, we might edit a certain portion of this, but anyway, thanks guys for being here. Cheers.
Okay, thank you.
All right. A reminder that you can visit obj.ca website. Speaking of digital properties, we update that website as we have for, probably about 27 years in a row. So local business news delivered on a weekday basis. Strong recommendation to subscribe to OBJ Today, our weekday email newsletter. You can follow us on social media. Our LinkedIn channels are particularly active. And if you're watching this live or on replay, please give us a like, a subscribe. The little bell icon will let you know when we're live. I want to thank you for joining us. All these slides, by the way, and this content will be shared with people that register. So it's one of the really important reasons to register and not just catch this in replay. Thanks for tuning in. On behalf of Xactly Advertising and OBJ, have a great day. Cheers, everyone.